So we all know that Sephiroth from Final Fantasy VII is the most iconic villain in the series, but is he the most sinister? No, the dude is not. He legit spends like 90% of the game sleeping in a cave.
I'm taking a nap!
You wanna take a nap?
I'm taking a nap here!
Instead, I want to talk about an actual menace, Kefka from Final Fantasy VI, the original killer clown. So, to set the scene, in the world of Final Fantasy VI, magic has been extinct for a millennia until this old-ass, instigating-ass bastard decides to open up Pandora's box and let magic back into the world. And in order to make his forces stronger, he decides to start experimenting on humans to give them magical abilities. And guess who was Subject Zero? That's right, it's your boy Kefka. And you know what? The experiment actually worked.
Kefka came out of there looking like Captain Frickin' America.
That wasn't so bad.
That was penicillin.
But it had an unfortunate side effect of turning the man into the ultimate crash out. I mean, just look at this man's fit. He legit decides to dress like a killer clown. On purpose.
Brother, ugh.
So now we get into Kefka's first atrocity, Terra. You see, Terra is a girl with natural magical abilities, and she is unfortunately captured by the Empire and entrusted to Kefka, who immediately places a slave crown on her head, which does exactly what you think it does.
FBI, open up!
Then, to test out Terra's abilities, he proceeds to murderize 50 of his own men.
Father! What this guy has done, it's inhuman! Yes, but it's not insane.
And thus begins Terra's PTSD journey. So far we've got for slavery and murder. I mean, honestly, it's pretty typical for a villain. I mean, what else you got?
He was the best guy around.
What about the people he murdered?
What murder?
Well, that's enough backstory for now. The first time we actually see Kefka in-game is he's walking through the desert looking for Edgar's castle.
We were told to comb the desert, so we're combing it. Found anything yet?
We ain't found shit!
Then he tells the soldiers, "Hey, there's some sand in my boots, clean it up."
What did he say?
That has got to be one of the most disrespectful things I think I have ever heard in my life. Bro, you are in a desert and you're complaining about sand? Who are you, freaking Anakin? And what do you think those soldiers do? They clean this man's shoes, of course. This crazy-ass clown knows magic and you don't mess with that. Hell no, Eventually, Kefka finds Edgar's castle and tells him to give up Terra, who is hiding there, but Edgar, being a gentleman, tells Kefka to beat it before he beats that ass. So Kefka is like, Okay. Yeah, I'm not really sure what Edgar's plan was messing with an insane clown, because, if you don't remember,
It's not about money, it's about sending a message.
So now we can add property damage into the mix. And I know it's not a crime, but forcing your soldiers to keep your boots clean in a desert is just straight up diabolical. The next time the group encounters Kefka is at Doma Castle, where there's a siege going on, and it's going pretty slow as most sieges do. Seriously, if you look through history, these things could take up to years to resolve.
Hello?
Hello? Who is it?
And who do you think they placed in charge of the siege? General Leo, who is an honorable general trying to resolve the conflict with as little casualties as possible. Remind you of anyone? Now, this is taking way too long, so instead the Emperor sends this deranged clown to pick up the pace. Then, as soon as General Leo is out the door, Kefka poisons Castle Figaro with drinking water, and while he does this, he says, and I quote, "Nothing beats the sweet music of hundreds of voices screaming in unison."
You what?
I don't know how he did it, but he made that sound bloody threatening.
Bro, you've been here for a grand total of like 3 minutes. Maybe pump the brakes on the genocide? And the poison straight up murderizes the entire kingdom of Doma, including the women, children, and even Kefka's own men. Kefka straight up says, "Geneva Convention? Ha! More like Geneva Suggestion." So now we can add war crimes to the pile of, criminal activities he causes just because he's bored. So before we get into Kefka's next murder spree, I have to explain to you how the Empire extracts magic. You see, since humans cannot naturally produce magic, they have to extract it from espers, which are magical beings. So, for example, unicorns, Santa Claus, giraffes, and dragons. And when these mythical creatures die, they crystallize, which allows humans to use their magical abilities. But the Emperor doesn't know about that last part. yet. Anyway, when the party infiltrates the Empire, they encounter Kefka, who has just drained 2 espers, and seeing them as useless, begins beating the crap out of them.
Stop! He's already dead.
And throws them down the trash compactor like a baby.
So cute. Bye-bye.
Now, in this next part, Kefka doesn't really do anything heinous, but it is significant for the plot, so listen up. So the party witnesses some espers dying and turning into crystals, and then Sid shows up and explains that the only way to extract an esper's full potential is through their death. Meanwhile, Kefka is in the corner listening to all this, being like, so we can add assault and battery into the mix, and ear hustling and spying if that's a crime. Now, I'm not gonna lie, Kefka does make some minor appearances from this point forward, but it's not really too important, so let's skip ahead to the town of Tamasa. Now, the humans and the espers are at war at this time, but General Leo is trying to broker peace. But guess who shows up? That's right, it's your favorite instigating clown himself. He immediately starts murderizing the espers and also decides to burn down the town because, for fun. Now, General Leo tries to stop Kefka and actually manages to cut Kefka in half. That's right, it was a genjutsu all along, and Kefka stabs Leo in the back, and Leo dies. Then even more espers show up to help, and you know what that does?
Absolutely nothing. Which is what you are about to become.
As Kefka proceeds to murderize even more espers and absorb even more esper power. Alright, so now we got murder added to the list. I mean, there was already murder, but I guess more murder?
Racist.
Well, maybe so, but I can't quite be a racist against a race that doesn't exist.
After that, Kefka and the Emperor Gestal walk up this mountain to go mess with some statues, with the party following close behind. Now, these statues are basically holding the world in balance and are the ones providing magic to the world.
I'm gonna touch it.
So the Emperor starts messing with the statues, and then he's like, and knocks out the entire party. Meanwhile, Kefka hands Celeste a sword and tells her to stab her best of friendos, and they would let her join the Empire. So Celeste is like,
Okay.
but she pulls an Una reverse card and stabs Kefka instead. And this man starts spazzing.
Nobody makes me bleed my own blood. Nobody!
Then, in his deranged state, Kefka tries to control the statues, but the Emperor is like,
Oh, hell no!
for you see, the Emperor wants to rule the planet. But Kefka, he has other ideas.
This planet!
Wait, I zoned out there for a second, what?
So the Emperor tries to smite Kefka, but all of his spells are ineffective because Kefka is using the statue's power to nullify them. And then Kefka proceeds to beat the absolute crap out of this old man.
Oh, ow! Have you ever seen such cruelty?
And then he even throws him off of the floating continent like a baby. And then to make matters worse, he starts moving the statues around. And like I said before, they provide balance. But since they're out of balance, this basically just kickstarts the apocalypse. And I'm not even kidding, the world basically nukes itself. And that's not even an exaggeration. We literally see the world breaking apart. So we can safely add genocide on a global scale and elder abuse, I guess? So now Kefka is emperor of a scorched earth, and to entertain himself, he casually likes to nuke random towns, as you do. So obviously the party has to stop him, and so they get the gang back together and go and try to jump Kefka. But before they can do that, they try to use Naruto's ultimate technique, Tok no Jutsu. But Kefka hits him with a,
Now you see that evil will always triumph, because good is dumb.
Now I will kill you until you die from it.
and just like all the villains before and after, Kefka transforms into an abomination.
Transformation. And spoiler warning, it's not getting old anytime soon.
And I would describe it to you, but 1, he's got like 8 different forms, and 2, I do not have the adequate amount of cocaine to articulate exactly what I'm saying. Anyway, after the party defeats all of his forms, the last one comes out where he's just stripped naked.
Why'd you take off your shirt?
So then the party proceeds to basically beat the crap out of him. And sadly, this is where the tale ends for the Clown Prince of Genocide. Now you might be thinking, why did Kefka do all these things? Well,
they had it coming.